Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the second International Conference on Transformation in Communication. Nanda, how's your lunch today?
Very well, and my stomach is
Full.
very happy. Happy tummy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nanda, we want to say thank you for the sponsor that support us to hold this second international conference. We want to say thank you for PT Pupuk Indonesia, PT Telkom, PT Telkomsel, PT Bio Farma, and PT Airlangga.
And we would like to say thank you very much for our media partner, Trans TV, Detik.com, Kompas.com, Liputan6.com, KLCBS FM, and Kilite FM.
Okay.
And moving forward to the next session is plenary discussion. And acting as the moderator of this discussion will be the lecturer from Telkom University, Bapak Ayub Filandi Imran. And please welcome Bapak Ayub Filandi Imran.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Don't worry, I have my watch with me. I'm pretty much realized what time it is. But normally, once you come into the time zone of Telkom University, every single time is a good morning. So, thank you. Let me repeat myself. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Very nice of you. Let me just slightly or briefly introduce myself. Okay, thank you for that. My name is Ayub Filandi Imran, a lecturer of Telkom University. Okay. A part of the committee. Due to some technical reasons, I've been appointed and very happy to be the moderator for our second session. And even more happy to realize that I'm going to have three lovely ladies to be with me up the stage. We're going to have Prof. Vitavan, Dr. Darin, and Dr. Adi Irma with us. But please give a very big round of applause for our key speakers. Okay. Can we have Dr. Luz Vitavan to come on stage to be with me? Thank you. Okay, I will give a brief, something like a brief CP. But before that, let us welcome our second speaker. Can we have Madam Doreen Kartikawangi to be with us? But definitely not the least, can we have our Vice Dean and my boss, Ibu Ade Irma. Can you join us, please? Okay, a slight introductions. I'm sure everybody here know who they are, but let me just do my job because I've been paid to do this. Okay. A slight brief introductions for our three special and lovely speakers. Let me start with Dr. Luz Vitavan, come all the way from the Netherlands. Welcome to Indonesia. Okay, she is a senior lecturer and coordinator of in rural development, innovation communication at Van Hol Leeuwenstein University of Applied Sciences. She is very interested in doing research on design of digital learning, which pretty much is going to share with us today. And then she is interested in mediated learning and resource Welcome to the stage, welcome to Indonesia, and welcome to the second session. Okay, round of applause. Thank you. The second one, we have the honor to be in front of Dr. Darin Kartikawangi. Welcome to Bandung. As he is a lecturer of School of Communication Science, Master in Psychology, postgraduates at Madya Jakarta, and postgraduate at University of Indonesia. The founder of House of Kartika Kusuma. Perhaps you can share with us it, including the DK consulting maybe. I'm very interested with that. And since her research focus is pretty much on organizational communications, same with me. Okay, PR, CSR, digital communication. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Dorin. And the last one, again, definitely not the least, Dr. Adi Masusanti. Welcome, Ibu. Our Vice Dean or Deputy Dean at Faculty of Communication and Business. She graduated the same country with mine, Malaysia. And then majoring and specialized in administration and business. Research focus on human resource management, organizational behavior, and knowledge management. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let us welcome our three special speakers. Okay, just like the way I introduced our main speakers, that's exactly the order of the speech. We're going to start with Dr. Witteven, which will talk about social change and media design. And then we move further to Dr. Dorin, talk about also related to the media, and then the digitalization of with Dr. Adi Irma. Okay, just the technicalities of it, we are going to give you the floor for more or less 20 minutes. And then once we finish all the speech, and then we're going to open the Q&A session, where perhaps we may have up to 3 questions from the audience. Okay, so without further ado, please allow me to call upon Dr. Louis Witteven to have the floor and give the speech.
Good morning, I understood. I was about to say good afternoon. Good morning, all of you. Let me first express my gratitude to Telkom University. Thank you for inviting me with this sister institute. It's nice being here. I arrived more or less on Monday afternoon, so I had the opportunity to know what you are, or to get an impression what you are doing. And it's so far it's nice working with you, and I'd like to congratulate you with this conference. It's well organized and I think quite ambitious. Congratulations. I'd like to share with you the topic I've been invited to share with you our work. I'd like to focus on media design for social change, and I'd like to talk with you. I don't know, Yola, where are you? To ask you for the next slide, please. Yeah. I'd like to talk with you at the start about conventional roles, conventional models of communication and media, and after that one changing to contemporary issues of dynamics and change, and follow this more theoretical overview by the practice of 2 research programs, which is research by design in our universities, and conclude about the future. Apologies, both my speech and the PowerPoint are in English. My Bahasa is really very poor, and I understood there are even 273 other languages in Indonesia, and I don't speak any of them. Sorry for that. Maybe another. If we look at conventional roles of media and communication, it's very much about persuasive or advisory provision of information to individuals. And what we see, this is very much split up in the commercial sector and the non-commercial sector. So we have the commercial sector where we look at public relations, at advertisements and marketing, and we have the non-commercial sector where we often talk about extension and persuasive communication, and very often deal with subdivisions, for example, into rural and health communication. In my university, we basically look at this non-commercial part of communication and media. So both the universities I'm working at represent the context of the life sciences, where we are dealing with issues of rural development, of health communication, etc. If we look at conventional models of communication media, you see the first model of senders and receivers, where a message is going from the sender to the receiver. It's an old-fashioned, but still usable model, used both in the commercial as in the non-commercial sector. It's also a top-down model, but it's not yet completely deleted. Also, where we look in the field of communication, positioning it together, relating it to innovation, we see that we have there a process of fundamental science coming up with the generation of innovations, passed through applied sciences, goes to education and extension services, and ends up, in our case, it used to be in agricultural practices. Now, if you look at issues of dynamic and change, we see, first of all, that these conventional models are currently seen as too linear and too top-down, and these flows really have loosened relevance with the increase of complexity and the changing media landscape. So I'm not the first one, and it was already explained earlier in the morning by the other keynote speakers. The world is changing fast, and every individual has means of communicating and sending out who they are, where they are, and what are their opinions. It also means that the message as a steering element in the process of innovation and communication has also changed, and we have now new drivers. We talk also about participation, we talk about inspiration, we talk about social media and social learning. It's no longer that we have so explicit elements in a communication process that we have a sender, that we have a message, and that we have a receiver. This has, of course, one back, please. This has, of course, severe implications for our profession. As the role of communication changes, the role of communication professionals and innovation intermediaries is also changing. So we cannot otherwise but conclude that the field of communication, knowledge sharing and co-creation, it's dynamic. It's changing fast, it's changing under influence of societal issues, it's changing under influence of technologies, etc. And there are huge debates. We do have experts, and interestingly, if you look at the title of your conference, the experts are indeed, they are in the industries, they are with creative individuals, they are with societies. It's no longer that only the academicians do have expertise. So at least nowadays we dare to talk increasingly that we say, well, we have the experts and we have professionals. And how they overlap is still questioned. But there are discussions about what strategies and what methodologies can be supported social change. And social change has to happen because it's realized all over the world, and I don't think that's new to you. The Netherlands, we are a tiny country exposed to issues of climate change, we have a large coastal zone, similar as here in Indonesia. You also have similar issues of water sanitation, of coastal zone protection, river basin management, etc. And it's also recognized nowadays, all these issues, we don't solve it anymore just with technological solutions. We need to involve all parties and stakeholders and find a way to get out of this situation. So a current thinking about communication and media in a context of processes of change. We say in our school, we very much focus, one of our professors, Professor Lewis, we say, well, communication is actually to facilitate network building, it's about social learning and negotiation. So new roles are attached to what is happening in communication for social change. In addition to this, there is much more attention for the informal everyday communication. So a term like conversations for many years was not on the agenda, was not part of the academic discourse. Nowadays we look very much at conversations, and not only conversations in social media, but for example in our university there's a huge research going on about communication between the general public when in situations in hospitals and health centers. So if there is so much knowledge and medication available, what goes wrong in these interventions that still so many people take the wrong medication or take it in the wrong way or don't stick to the time they should take medication, etc. From a communication perspective, From a communication perspective, we also therefore have much more attention now for discourses, for representations, so issues of portrayal. So we look in newspapers, how do we portray people, how do we exclude certain groups. I wouldn't know exactly for the case of Indonesia, but every country we have societal groups who are more or less represented in the general media. And we also look at storylines. What type of storylines are constructed by a variety of actors and in a variety of platforms. So be it platforms in television shows, be it platforms through Twitter, be it platforms through gossip or whatever. But there is much more attention for communication by all and everybody. Now if we look at the global context, it was only in 2006, so we are altogether, we share here somehow a recent profession. Only in 2006 the United Nations organized a first Congress on Communication for Development. And there again it was well, both we look at local media, but we also have to look at global partnerships. So both the local as the global has been considered. Of course there's much attention for bridging digital divide. And again, also this World Congress focused very much on issues of voices, how to give voice to poor, excluded and minorities. Now, further work undertaken as a follow-up of this, next please, of this World Congress resulted in a paper by Servas and Lees to say, well, what are future imperatives? And that really came to say, well, this field of communication for development, it's also another field. We really, we have public relations, we have the performing art, we have a variety of sub-dimensions in the communication, but communication for development is also there and needs to be given attention to. Also in a perspective of sustainability, and also to say, well, it's quite, if we talk about development problems, most often they are very complex, they require transdisciplinary narrative, and they do affect the whole world population. So even if we may talk about rural areas, but last week we have been working with ITB on the Shitu River, and that is one of the most polluted rivers in the world, and we can say, well, it's taking place in a rural area, but it's actually the main source for drinking water in Jakarta. So it's more and more realized there are no problems almost situated in one location and not related to other locations and other groups of people. So that it was also stated what is another future imperative. It has to be more effective. We really have to reconsider more creative techniques and methodologies, and communication also has to link to learning, education and knowledge exchange. We really have to look at processes of communication in its widest context. And also this again cries out for a review of professionalism. One of the issues is that we have to have a better focus on design. It can't be anymore that we just have people designing programs for development and communication without linking up better with the real field of creative industries. We can't separate them anymore, and we have to find new ways of doing. In the Netherlands, we have currently a group of design which is called the Dutch Design, and of course a stylized logotype that shows our national flower, the tulip. And increasingly it's also said, well, designers are increasingly seen as having a societal accountability. Designers should surprise people and make them discover new pastures. We're not only designing, as we do in the Netherlands, furniture, fashion, etc., but it's also about what we call social design. Or another statement by the designer Marijn Oppel, design is about making sense of all things around us, whether they are objects or processes. And now I'd like to take you to two examples of work we are undertaking, and as I'm saying, these are two concrete projects, but meanwhile we are also researching what we call the methodology of practice by design. So with our students we design certain methodologies and we research the methodologies as we undertake them. Also because, let's say, doctorate studies are changing as well. Huh? I mean, to recent, we only produced dissertations with written text, but increasingly it's a question to what extent maybe a film can be part of an academic doctoral thesis. The visual problem appraisal is a learning methodology, and learning in our university is seen as any process of change where information and knowledge is moving around. So when we talk about learning, we're not confined to the domain of formal education. The visual problem appraisal is a film-based space for learning and communication to enhance the analysis of complex issues and facilitate the plan of action. The VPA is based on a large set of interviews with main stakeholders in a particular complex problem, or wicked problem as we call it nowadays, and the blue cover page you see is a set of 24 interviews with stakeholders in Kerala, India, about coastal zone management. A similar set we are currently producing in the Netherlands for the case of Waddenzee. So it's a set of films with fishermen, with policy makers, with the fishing industry, with everybody engaged with that problem. Relates very much to issues of sustainability, to water pollution, to food safety for consumers of fish and shrimps, etc. The VPA, it's used in the public domain and in education. So, as we stated, it's used both in the real situation, in the actuality of problem solving and policy design, as training from the very beginning professionals to be updated with contemporary methodologies. So with the films, what you do, it's a series of interviews and there are several documentaries. It's divided in 3 stages: scoping stage, stakeholder consultation stage, and the action stage. And the most important is, of course, the stakeholder consultation stage, where you try to bring into the arenas of problem analysis and policy design, you try to represent the voices of vulnerable stakeholders, but also of decision makers who don't always have the time to join such debates. Research we have undertaken to see what can we do, in what way should we film these type of interviews and these type of documentaries. What we have concluded so far over the past year that visual learning strategies, so quite particular designs of making and using film, crosses boundaries and can replace direct exposure. So we can say, well, we should take everybody into the field. In the end, we won't have time, we won't have the resources, and it will, for other reasons, it will also be very difficult to bring all people to such type of situations. But with film, we can cross boundaries, as it's stated here, of distance, gender, culture, religion, and caste differences. Caste is, of course, for the case of India. In the public domain, what we have seen is using the VPA. Here you see a picture in Kerala, India, where they organized workshops, were organized by the Ministry of Fisheries, together with the University of Science and Technology, with the local and district governmental bodies, inviting fishermen, farmers, housewives, etc. And it turned out that indeed, watching together the films of the people involved enhanced problem and policy analysis, and also led to intersubjective consensus. So looking at people in a film allowed the participants in the VPA workshop to look at fishermen they would otherwise never have a conversation with. So in that sense, this is one of the examples. It's a new way of filming. It's also posing many questions about academic filming as we have been doing it. In the morning we heard already a question about ethical concerns. This is a way of filming filmed under quite strict ethical informed consent norms as the films are shown to public, but most of our work cannot be found on the internet. Yeah, so people say, let's Google all this. I'm sorry, it's not filmed with permission by film people to upload it in the open public spaces. Yeah, let's have a look at the next. We have the VPA in education. In education, we see it achieves the same as in the public domain. It allows us to train students. This is a picture at Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands, where we are training water engineers, and it helps them to get prepared for the reality of their future profession. And we also came to realize for students to discuss about people they see on film allows them to analyze deeper, as there is a little bit less, they can review the films, and the facilitation can focus